Very good evening to everyone, and welcome to this evening session of mental health and healing through meditation, and of course, in a holistic manner. So while we wait for the others to join, we will just collect our thoughts, sit in silence for a minute, and in the interim, few more people can join. So while we wait, you can just close your eyes. Those who wear spectacles can take off their spectacles and just be aware of your natural breath that is coming in and going out by itself. So do not try to make an effort to breathe. Just be aware of the incoming and outgoing breath and try to stay with that awareness for a couple of minutes. Okay, let's start. So this is how the session would be formatted, or this is the process we'll follow. I'll share with you some insights about this process of mental health and how it can be relevant in our everyday life, regardless of which religion you subscribe to or don't, and how this can be enhanced by making a very conscious effort on a regular basis, and what happens when we ignore it, the implications of ignoring our mental health on a regular basis. So I'll speak for a few minutes and then I'll pause to take in questions. You're free to ask any questions related to the practice, related to mental health. But because we're going to be very short in terms of the time available, we'll not go too much into the philosophical aspects of the discussion. So we'll just stay with the practical aspect of these topics, which can be related to the everyday experiences of our life, right? Maybe in the subsequent session, we can take up questions which do not get taken up now. So whenever I pause to invite questions, you could raise your hand or type in your question in the chat box, and Aisha, who's very kindly accepted or agreed to help out with this session, will read those questions and I'll try and address them as best as possible. So let's start. So everyone is looking for peace and happiness in life. We try our best to experience peace and happiness, not only for ourselves, but also for our family and loved ones. Towards that end, we are working hard, maybe as a student, as a professional, as a mother, caregiver, as a homemaker, or as a senior citizen. We try and do our best to experience more and more happiness in our life. Unfortunately, because of the past conditioning, we really are unable to do that and predominant parts of our life. Most of our lives are spent in a state of mind which is reacting to the realities that unfold in the present moment. And the realities which unfold in the present moment would mostly be wanted or unwanted. So when unwanted situations occur in the present moment, then we react with aversion. We don't like it. Somebody is nasty with us. Somebody talks to us rudely, behaves rudely with us, abuses us, criticizes us, disagrees with us. Even a disagreement, a minor disagreement can be a source of major aversion and unhappiness in our lives. And if there is a wanted situation, then we start craving for it. We want more and more of it. But if anyone's looked at life, if anyone's had the opportunity to step back and to look at the way life unfolds, then you will agree that life is a series of wanted and unwanted events. Wanted, unwanted, wanted, unwanted. A series of wanted situations will continue maybe for a few hours, few days, if you're lucky, for a few weeks and months. But invariably or always, that's the law of nature, they will change into unwanted situations, unpleasant situations. There might be sickness, there might be ailments, either to yourself or to your loved ones. There might be failures in terms of your profession, in terms of your life as a student, in terms of your retired life. You might experience certain other challenges. So various challenges will keep on coming increasingly in life, either at home, at work, on the street, in the marketplace. Every day unwanted situations will come. So whenever unwanted situations come up, and you'll agree that more often than not, these unwanted situations come into our lives more than the wanted situations. They give us suffering. We suffer when we experience unwanted situations. Why? Because we are craving for those unwanted situations to change into pleasant circumstances or pleasant situations which are agreeable to us. If somebody is being nasty or somebody is trying to cheat us, so we'll try to get rid of that person ASAP. But it may not always be possible. We might be working, we might have a colleague at the workplace who's nasty to us all the time. We might have a neighbor who's nasty to us all the time or most of the time. Or even worse, we might have in our family a family member who's constantly at loggerheads with us. So increasingly, we are faced with these situations where we have unpleasant situations in life and we react to them. And when we react to them, unknown to us, we are creating mental imprints or mental footprints, mental impressions, which in Hindi are called karam sanskar, at the depth of the mind. And throughout our lives, if you just believe in this life, then throughout our life, from our birth till now, we've been creating these karam sanskars, these mental impressions. If you believe in rebirth, then we've been creating these sanskars for past countless lives, and they carry on from one life to the next, to the next, to the next. And these, in due course of time, these are like seeds which we are sowing. So they make us unpleasant, they make us suffer now because we don't have the ability to handle them appropriately because of the past conditioning. So when we react, we suffer now. We also suffer in the future because when we react, we are also sowing a seed of either aversion or craving. And in the future, that seed will fructify, it will give fruits. And that fruit, which will come, will again carry the same suffering as we have sown right now. Or it can be pleasant if we've not reacted and if we've remained absolutely equanimous, or if we've done something wholesome, if we've done something philanthropic, if we've done a lot of giving without expecting anything in return, if we've done something out of our generosity, out of our compassion, or send our loving kindness to all beings in one way or another. So whatever we send out into nature will come back manyfold to us. That is the law of nature. And it'll come back to us, nature will reward us immediately, and it will reward us in the future as well. And again in the future, when the fruit comes, the fruit will be sweet or bitter, depending on the seed of our action, whether our action was wholesome or unwholesome. And if it was unwholesome, the fruit will once again be bitter. If the action was sweet, was wholesome, the fruit will be sweet. If the fruit was bitter, we will react with aversion, we'll multiply the fruits, we will multiply the sanskars manyfold. I can go into the details of how the sanskars are created, etc. But I think at this stage, we'll not get there. Maybe slightly later in the discussion, we will get into that aspect. So we are suffering because we don't have the ability to remain equanimous in the face of the unfolding of the situations of life, the challenges of life, the vicissitudes of life. We don't have that ability to remain sthit pragya, which is the essence of Gita. We don't have the ability to remain equanimous. Of course, just by putting up an external facade of equanimity doesn't mean that one is equanimous in reality, because there could be a storm inside when one has got a smile on the face. So it is the real equanimity is when you're absolutely at peace within. Somebody is being nasty with you and you are at peace within, because you have acquired the ability to remain equanimous in the face of all the challenges of life. You are experiencing ailment, either yourself or to your loved one, severe chronic terminal ailment maybe, a lot of pain, but the pain doesn't mean that you have to suffer. The pain is given in everyone's life. It will come, but suffering is always a choice. So like in all occasions of life, you will always have a choice, whether you opt for suffering or otherwise. And that choice is made possible by doing a practice wherein you train the mind not to react. You train the mind to remain in balance, in equanimity, in the now. And that is the practice which we do on a daily basis. That is the practice which has also been offered since the past 2.5 years from the day of the lockdown through these online sessions. And we've so far offered more than 3,000 or close to 3,000. I think we'll cross the 3,000 mark by end of this month. Almost 3,000 sessions have been offered completely gratis to people, participants from across 5 continents. And people have benefited tremendously from these sessions. So I'll pause now. In case anyone has any questions, you could either raise your hand and speak out, or you could type in your question in the chat box. Okay. So this practice is completely different from all other meditative practices. It is completely non-religious. It has no religious connotations whatsoever, because in this practice, we just focus on the, So we are going to go through the sessions, through the discussions. I'll pause after every 5-10 minutes of talking, so that if any points are there which somebody has, then they can be addressed. So I'm happy either ways. Yeah. So whatever. So I can talk for a slightly longer duration, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but then there could be a lot of doubts, questions which can come up, which might get lost if the frequency of the pause is less. So that is the reason why I pause more frequently. But I'll continue talking. And anytime anyone has a question, you can raise your hand. And whenever I finish discussing a concept, I'll just pause and take your question. You can do it that way. So this practice differs from all other practices because this involves focusing on the natural breath without adding any kind of verbalization or visualization with it. So you don't add any kind of chanting. You don't add any kind of bijakshar, any mantra, any kind of counting, no mental instructions. So no verbalization whatsoever. You do not add any visualization of any kind, no religious symbol, no image of any god, goddess, or saintly person. No other form or shape is imagined. Just the pure breath without any verbalization, without any visualization. This ensures that nobody can have any objection to the breath being chosen as the object of our meditation. Because otherwise we live in a divided world, which is divided along religious lines, sectarian lines, linguistic lines, etc. And people will think of some reason for which they might have an objection to the object of the meditation. But nobody can have any objection to the natural breath, devoid of any verbalization or visualization. So this is the biggest benefit of choosing the breath as the object of our meditation. The other reasons why breath is chosen are the breath has a very close connection with our defilements, with our anger, our fears, our jealousy, hatred, ego, etc. Please understand how. So anytime we are experiencing anger towards someone, or fear in any situation, or any other negativity, the breath will lose its normalcy and it will become very labored, it will become very gross, very rapid, or sometimes it just might stop, as happens in the case of extreme fear. Anyone who's practicing this technique on a regular basis will immediately know that something is going wrong, because you're regularly practicing this on a daily basis. You are used to the breath when it's in a relaxed, subtle manner. You've experienced it in all other facets. And you understand that when it loses its normalcy, then something is going wrong. A red flag is thrown up. And you are alert and you immediately become aware that something is going wrong and you need to switch your awareness to your breath. And you start focusing on your breath for a few seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds with open eyes. It doesn't mean that if you're in a meeting, let's say you're in a meeting at work, you're making a presentation, and that presentation gets a criticism, lot of negative feedback and criticism from one or two people who are not very positively inclined towards you. So you can't just sit there while inside you're getting agitated, angry. Maybe there's hatred also arising for those people, and nervousness coming in because you're being attacked verbally. So you can't close your eyes in such a situation and then start looking at the breath, because then it'll look completely silly. So this technique is different from all other meditation practices, and there were around 40 different meditation practices in ancient India. Completely different in the respect that it can be practiced in the ordinary moments of everyday life. So whether you are cooking, you are walking, you are working on your computer, you are working out in the gym, you are about to make a presentation, or you're making a presentation, or you're listening to somebody's feedback, negative or positive, or you're about to take part in a competition, or you're about to sit down for an examination as a student. It could be class 12, it could be an entrance exam, and I'm sure many of you would have experienced the nervousness when you gave exams, class 12 or other major exams of your life, how the heart used to beat fast, how the breath used to become very, very rapid, how the body used to tremble. And very often we used to forget many of the things which we knew before the exam, which we knew after the exam was over, when we came out of the examination hall. But during the exam, we had partial temporary amnesia, just for that duration. Because 2 hours, 3 hours when we were sitting in the examination, that nervousness, that stress was so intense that we forgot whatever we might have prepared for in the entire year. Or even if we remembered it partially. Even if we remembered it, we were unable to put it on paper properly, as a result of which we were not able to perform to our potential, our true potential. Many are unfortunate, and these cases have been there for decades. They're just increasing with the passage of time, where they just buckle. Many students in class 10, class 12, in medical colleges, in IITs, they just buckle into this extreme pressure, and they have nervous breakdowns, especially in class 12, because that's a do or die kind of a situation for many students whose parents or all those around them put a lot of pressure on them. And some of them are not mentally strong enough, and they buckle under the pressure, and they have to be admitted to the hospital, or in some unfortunate cases, they might even attempt suicide. And uh, very unfortunately, some of them succeed every year in that attempt. So it's happening right from the time when we are in school, and it continues to intensify with age. Many parents ask me, what is the right time to get their kids into this practice? The best time, of course, is if you are not done with having all your kids. The best time, if you are still expecting one or planning another one in future, then the best time is when the mother is at least 3 months pregnant. Then the mother starts doing the practice, and maybe, if possible, attend an intense retreat, and you have a child which will be suffused in the vibrations, these wonderful vibrations of tranquility, and you will see the difference. I saw the difference. My son I think my wife was 6 months pregnant when she attended a retreat, a 10-day retreat. And he's different. He's now 20 or 21. He's about to be 21 in September. And he's too calm. Sometimes I feel, why doesn't he react? He reacts too less. He's absolutely a cool dude. And that he was like that since he was just 2.5 years old. I still recall that incident where it was peak summers, and peak summers in Delhi means around 44, 45, sometimes even 46 degrees. And he was sitting in the room, just about 2.5 or 3 years old. He didn't know how to read at that time. He was younger than 3 years of age. And he was sitting with a pile of Noddy books, Noddy, his elder sister's Noddy books. Some of you would be familiar with those Noddy books. And he didn't know how to read them. He had a pile of them, maybe about 10, 15 of them piled up next to him. And he would take each book, keep it in front of him, and just observe each page, the pictures very carefully, and then flip the next page, observe the next page, then the next page. And he was profusely sweating because he didn't switch on the fan, and he was sweating. And I thought, let me switch on the fan. I said, hang on, let me just see how long he will sit sweating like this without the fan. And he sat like that for almost 25 minutes, and he was sweating, and he was absolutely unaware, and he was just picking the next book, turning the pages of the next book, and so on. And that's how he grew up largely. Of course, the concentration gradually took a bit of a beating due to the social media and other such interventions in the life. But I'm sure what is innate in his conditioning will come to the fore. So as a student, what if you miss that phase? If you miss that phase where the child has now come to the world and is growing up, what is the next best time when you can introduce them to this practice? The next best situation is you do it yourself and let the child see you as a parent doing it. And definitely, if it's a young enough child up to the age of 8, 9, or even 10, they will ask you out of curiosity as to what you're doing with your closed eyes, sitting silently. And if you give them the right explanation, then introduce them to the practice and tell them to, just sit with you depending on how old they are. If they're younger than 7, 8, then just 1 minute, half a minute, whatever they are comfortable with, they sit with you and you just tell them to close their eyes and observe their breath. For a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, just sitting still is meditation. Don't expect wonders. When you actually sit down to do it, you will, or if you've already done it in the past, you will know that it is not a kid's play. It's not easy. It's a huge challenge. It's a very dry practice to have. It's a very dry practice to do. And as they grow up, you make it more interesting for them. Introduce stories related with the concept of the mind and how the mind plays an instrumental, pivotal role in everyone's life. And anyone who is able to master the mind can transform their life. If before a child attains puberty, girl or a boy, before they attain puberty, if they've been introduced to this practice, then post-puberty, the distractions that they are exposed to in their teens and beyond will not be able to sway them. They will grow up very, very balanced. Of course, many kids, even without the practice, can grow up very balanced, but it becomes more and more difficult in the present situation. And of course, they can transform their life. Absolutely, not even the sky is the limit. Why? Because then they are able to explore all their hidden potentials, maximize their potential to the fullest. Now, most of them have various fears: fear of talking, fear of performing in front of others, fear of the dark. There are so many fears, and many of you probably grew up with those fears as well, and you still have them. Why? Because as a child, you never had an option to address those fears. What fears? It could be the fear of talking in front of a group of people. You might talk very confidently when there are just 1 or 2 people around you. But if there's a group, a small or a large group, or 5, 10, 100 people, you will probably just become tight-lipped or just zip up. It could be stage fright. I'm sure you would have seen it or experienced it. Kids prepare for a performance for weeks together, maybe a elocution or a theater performance or any stage performance. And when they come on the stage, they see a few hundred or 1,000 plus people, students, looking at them. Some even might be making some faces or trying to distract them or whatever. And if the child is not mentally strong enough, they will get distracted. And if they get distracted enough, they will get more nervous. And if they get nervous enough, they might have a bout of stage fright. So they just might freeze. All that they learned for the preceding many weeks, they will just forget all that. And that incident can pose a huge hindrance in their growth in terms of a public speaker. As a public speaker, or in other aspects of their life. They might just feel so humiliated that they never will volunteer or try to come on stage and repeat that experience. They will never risk that. And that will carry forward, that will grow with them into their adult life. So as a professional, as a self-employed person, you might have to meet some very senior people, very important people, either in the corporate world or in the government. And if you haven't been able to overcome the fear of talking to others, partially or completely, you will have a tough time in maximizing that opportunity which you will get. Now, very often when you interact with very senior people, it could be a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company. It could be somebody who's a senior, could be a minister, could be a secretary in the government of India, could be your head of your company, your managing director, whatever, somebody very senior. You might not get an opportunity to interact with such people on a regular basis. And when you do, and you are nervous, all that you had prepared in your mind to say or share, you might not be able to do it. Forget that also. You have to make a presentation at work. And you prepared, you spent many nights preparing for that presentation. And somewhere in the presentation, even though you've prepared, you've covered all the bases, you've prepared for all kinds of questions that might be thrown at you, somewhere in the presentation, again, that same fear starts making you nervous. And in spite of all the preparation, in spite of all the hard work that you put in, you might not make the impact that you wanted to make. So this is just an example of how these childhood experiences, these childhood defilements, if they're not addressed appropriately at that stage, will just continue to grow with us. If somebody is prone to bouts of anger as a child, and if you don't really bother too much with it, child will grow up a very angry person. And we all know as adults how what a devastating negativity quality it is to have, what a intensely negative quality it is to have, where you have no control over yourself when you get angry. I mean, it can destroy lives, it can destroy families, just because on the spur of the moment you ended up saying things over which you have little or no control. So this is one aspect of it. What you could do when you were a child, or when you have your children, how you could address various issues that they have. You've grown up, you're an adult now. So you can't go back, nobody can go in the past and undo that conditioning which has happened. But you can still make amends. You can still make the best of what life has to offer. How? It's never too late. So I was in this discussion with somebody, and this is just last week, and this gentleman is in his mid-50s, and he said, oh, I've got to this practice very late in my life, and I feel that I need to somehow maximize what life has to offer the remaining years that I have ahead. So I gave him an example of an incident or an interaction which I had almost 17, 18 years earlier. So there was this gentleman who at the age of, he was an industrialist, he used to stay in Ghaziabad. He had several manufacturing units and very well off. At the age of 71, he came in contact with this practice, and he got so much benefit that in a very short span of just 2 years or so, he did 5, 6 retreats, and he reached that eligibility criteria so that he could go for more intense courses. And I met him, and he shared with me, Pujya, next week I'm going for this long course, this intense course. So I congratulated him. I said, Tikaramji, you are so fortunate. In just a matter of 2 years, you've reached this level of going for this intense course. People reach this level after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So he said, no, 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 that is fine, but I feel that I'm very unfortunate that I've got it at the fag end of my life. You got it so early. If I would have got it as early as you, I would have done so many wonderful things in my life. So I replied to him, Tikaram ji, आप ऐसे क्यों नहीं देखते? Why don't you look at it like this? That you got this practice, or you came in contact with this practice in this very lifetime. And it is considered a great blessing to get this human life form. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. Those who believe in rebirth, it is considered to be an extremely rare occurrence. We get this human life form after countless births in other various realms, in other various forms. And somebody would have done, deeds which are highly meritorious in some previous life to get this opportunity to get the human life form again. And after getting the human life form, one comes in contact with this pure technique. It's called Anapansati. Anandji, Anapansati. This is a pure practice which is part of a technique called Vipassana. So Vipassana is the ability to see the reality as it is, and Anapansati is the first step, is the basic step which can continue right till a very advanced level and beyond. So the practice is just the awareness of the breath, of the natural breath. So let's just experience it for 5 minutes, and after that we will get into further discussion, take up questions, etc. So just 5 minutes we'll do it. So you need to sit in a place where you can be seated comfortably without taking a backrest. All those who wear glasses, spectacles, may please take off your spectacles. Keep your back and neck straight. Eyes gently closed. And the entire attention at the entrance of the nostrils, at this small area just below the nostrils, the small area which lies below the nostrils, above the upper lip, this area in between where the men have the mustache, the small area. That limited area immediately below the nostrils. Just focus your attention in this limited area and maintain the awareness of the natural breath that is coming in and going out on its own, by itself, naturally, effortlessly. whether it is long or short, deep or shallow, fast or slow. Just be a mere witness to this process of natural respiration. Do not try to regulate it. Do not have any preference for any special kind of breath. Just let go and become a mere witness to this natural breath that is coming in and going out by itself. Do nothing else. Do not add any kind of verbalization or visualization of any kind with the breath. No chanting, counting, mental instructions, no verbalization, no visualization of any religious symbol, of any god, goddess, saintly person, or any form or shape. Just the pure, natural breath that is coming in and going out right now in the present moment. Just be aware of it. Do nothing else. The mind will wander away because that is the past conditioning of the mind, which you're trying to change with this practice. So remain very patient, very alert, and bring the mind back to the breath. The natural breath, without any effort from your side. Without any interference from your side. The incoming breath, the outgoing breath, the natural breath. Just be aware of it. And if you find that the mind is wandering away repeatedly, take in 3-4 deep breaths only as an exception, and keep on following those deep breaths without making a noise. After 3-4 deep breaths, revert back to the natural respiration again. And stay with the natural respiration. Remain alert of your own natural breath. Don't let a single breath go past without your knowledge. Keep track of each and every breath, each and every breath. So you can open your eyes now. So this is just you know, a tiny glimpse. Perhaps it's uh, 7, 8 minutes is too short. It takes uh, many years. I've been doing it for more than 2 decades, and even now I discover another dimension of this practice. So it's a extremely versatile practice. And why is it? Uh, what does it do? Let's understand that slightly better. So when we are with the natural breath, the pure breath, without adding any verbalization, visualization, without trying to control it, change it in any manner, just observing it as a witness, then we are completely in the present moment. We are not in the past nor in the future. Those thoughts will come streaming in our mind. Maybe what you need to do after this session, what you were doing before the session, what you've got planned for tomorrow, Sunday weekend, what you've got lined up next week, which is very important. So many thoughts, past or the future, which is where most of the mankind lives their life, past or future, past or future, because that is the past conditioning that we have. And those who start doing this practice where they learn how to live in the present using such a practice, the immediate benefit is that you are rewarded by nature with the sense of peace and tranquility. Now, everyone out here, I'm sure, would be looking for peace and tranquility in life. If there's somebody who is not, you can raise their hand. So I guess everybody would be. So just for getting this peace and tranquility, just for that reason itself, doing this practice and experiencing those fleeting moments of peace and tranquility in one's life, even if they are very few seconds. Initially, there will be a very few seconds until unless you have a past rich legacy in your past where you've done this practice in your past lifetimes. Even if you don't believe in past lifetimes, doesn't make a difference. You might just do it the first time and you will take to it like fish takes to water. And apart from such cases, most people initially just experience it for a few seconds, and those seconds turn into minutes, and those minutes turn into hours, and so on and so forth. Imagine a few seconds of that experience of peace and tranquility can energize a person for a few hours. You can feel that energy, that vitality, not just in those few seconds, but that impact remains with you for a few hours. And gradually, when you get that ability to take a deeper dive, when you're able to go deeper into the present, into the now with the breath, then you can experience that energy maybe for the entire day. And when you go further, even deeper, then it can last for a few days together. So imagine a practice as simple as this, completely non-religious, completely non-commercial. There's no money charged for it. There is no religion involved in it. It's absolutely unparalleled. And people find it hard to believe that such a practice can exist where it can be taught without any religious connotations, any commercial connotations, completely gratis. So leaving that aside, so first benefit is you immediately get the sense of peace and tranquility. And the subsequent benefit comes as you do this practice repeatedly. Those few seconds are actually magical moments. They're magical not only because they give you the sense of peace and tranquility, but they're magical because they enable the uprooting of the past mental complexes that lie, which are happily settled at the depths of the mind. In Hindi, they are called karam sanskar. In the closest English term for them is mental footprints, mental impressions, mental complexes. But the Hindi term is karam sanskar. So those karam sanskars are the result of our reaction to any unfolding in life. So for example, before you came to this session, you were unable to log in because somebody else in the family, maybe your spouse or your children, had hogged all the bandwidth because they were playing video games or something else, and you didn't have any bandwidth, you couldn't log in at all. And it made you furious because you were looking forward to attending this. And here you missed out, you joined late for that reason or for whatever reason. And you're having aversion to that situation. I've got late, and I've got late because of so-and-so person. If that person hadn't done that, I would have been in time. If that person would have done what he was supposed to do or she was supposed to do, then this unpleasant situation wouldn't have occurred in my life. And like this, we are waiting through our entire life, waiting for somebody else to change. We constantly are blaming somebody for our troubles, for our miseries as they unfold in our life. Somebody did what they were not supposed to do, or did not do what they were supposed to do, which is why I'm facing this unpleasant situation in life. Very few times we are honest enough, or very few people are honest enough, and they accept complete responsibility for whatever life has to throw, whatever life has thrown at them. So I'll share, a reaction to this statement which I made. So I was doing this session in France, and there was this young lady who was sitting in front of me. We were doing it in a studio, and she took exception to this, which was very puzzling for me initially. So she just repeated my statement. She said, "Are you saying that we are responsible for everything that has happened in our life?" I said, "Absolutely. If we start taking responsibility for everything that is happening in our life, good or bad, 100%, then life starts changing from that moment onwards." And she repeated that. She said, "Are you saying this?" I said, "Yes, that's what I meant." And she was furious. She said, "I cannot accept it. I cannot I cannot bear this. And I could see that she was fuming because she was sitting right in front of me. And she was trembling because of anger. I didn't know why. Later on, I came to know that she had had a broken marriage or a broken serious relationship, and then she'd gone through cancer treatment, etc., and she's just coming out of it, etc. So she said, I cannot stand this. I cannot accept this. So I said, okay, let me put it in another way for you. Are you willing to accept whatever the present moment is unfolding for you as the reality of the now? She said, yes, that I can accept. I said, fine, you go with that then. Just be in that acceptance of whatever the present unfolds for you. Accept it without any ifs and buts. That's good enough. So most people will not accept, will not take full responsibility of all that is unpleasant that's happening in our life. We will not be hesitant in taking full responsibility for all the successes of our life. Anyways, coming back to the second significant aspect of this practice, what is the reward, what is the magic when we are with the breath in the now? So when we are with the breath, the natural breath, the pure breath, completely rooted to the now, then the first magic is that sense of blessing that we get in terms of experiencing peace and tranquility. And the deeper magic that is happening is at the deeper level, those roots of those mental complexes, those mental imprints, those karam sanskars, they start becoming weakened. And when we have more of these moments of magic in our life, where we are absolutely in the present, aware and equanimous, then in due course of time, those mental formations, those karam sanskars come up, they get uprooted from the depths of the mind, they come up to the surface of the mind, and they manifest on the physical body in the form of some sensations. The sensations could be pleasant or unpleasant, also neutral, but we will not get into the neutral sensations for right now. So pleasant or unpleasant sensations. Now, if we have got established in this practice, then we will not react to those sensations with craving or aversion. Otherwise, our past conditioning is that if there is a pleasant sensation running through the body, then we will react with craving. We want more of it. If there is an unpleasant sensation, we react with aversion. We don't want it. We have strong aversion for it. So constantly we keep on multiplying these karam sanskars or these mental formations with this inability to remain equanimous when they come up and manifest themselves through sensations on the physical body. So I'll pause here. After this, you can let me know if you have any queries. And this magic of eliminating these karam sanskars or these mental formations is huge. It's huge. It's transformational because it is eliminating the cause of your suffering, which you're carrying within you from the past. Now, the past, again, I'll repeat, for those who don't believe in rebirth, the past means from your birth, this birth, till the end of, till right now. And for those who believe in rebirth, then past countless lives, we are carrying this treasure of these mental formations, one life after the next, the next one. And these are the causes of our suffering, one life after the next, another, one life after the another, constantly causing us suffering. And when we acquire this ability to eradicate them from our life, then we are lightening the burden that we are carrying on our shoulder, on our back. And it is something very tangible, which many of you would have experienced, that when you experience any stressful situations in life, it could be for a few minutes, few hours, few days, then you start experiencing this, heavy load on your back, around your neck. Neck becomes very tight. It becomes, very, it feels as if you're carrying the load of the world on your back. And no matter how much you try to shrug it, no matter what kind of exercise you do, you just cannot get that weight off your back. When you start doing this, then you will start experiencing that all that weight which you're carrying on your back, which is in a tangible manner, which is in the mind, is very easy to shrug off. So, shall pause. If anyone has any questions, they can raise their hand, and we'll take up questions. Or if you would like to write in your question in the chat box, you're free to do so. If there are no questions, then we'll continue with a discussion. Okay, so we'll continue. So this is what you can do regardless of what has happened in your past. Okay, so let me see this question. Facing this challenge and weight of this on my shoulders and neck and back. Okay, so that seems to be a statement. Okay, no question there. So yes, so Vikas has a question. Yes, Vikas, please go ahead. Vikas, I think you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Vikas, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Yeah, now you can unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, Apurv. It was wonderful session, and this is the first time basically I have attended any of means I can hear your voice. I saw a lot of messages and posts from your side on the WhatsApp. So basically, I do appreciate that meditation does help. And so I have a very basic question, two questions. Suppose I am getting into the meditation. So how much time should I sit and how I can understand? Then suppose I am sitting for, let's assume 15 minutes, that my 15 minutes are over. First question. And second question, as you are saying that they are मेरे जो कर्म संस्कार है, that is keep, that will come and it will give me a, it will get me a, means it will help me to get rid of those karma sanskar.
Right.
So basically, even though I believe in the rebirth somewhere as per my ideology which I follow, but still I feel that somewhere in my brain, I keep my pain or the happiness or the sensation of any happiness. So how it carries across the means rebirth phase, means how it comes and get accumulated. If you
Okay,
can just help
I'll
me
yeah.
to understand.
So I'll
Thank you.
address it, as much as possible, keeping it to the practical aspect of it without going too deeply into the philosophical part. So first is about the duration, 15 minutes and how you'll know that 15 minutes is over. So initially, it's good to join any group. So for example, we have this group which is practicing morning and evening. It practices meditation for about 27, 28 minutes, almost 30 minutes. After that, in the morning, we have 15 minutes of discussion. On weekdays, by 8:45, the session closes. In the evening, it is from 5:30 to 6. There is no discussion in the evenings. So why it is important to join a group initially? It is very important because now there are hundreds of apps online, and I'm aware that some of them are extremely popular worldwide, but the apps will always have their limitations. You cannot get clarity about doubts which you've got about the practice from the apps. They cannot give you, unless of course you have premier membership and you have one-to-one, etc. That's a different thing. So out here, these sessions are offered completely gratis, absolutely free of cost. There's no formalities in terms of don't have to pay in cash or kind in any manner. That's something first up. Secondly, it clarifies all your fundamentals in terms of the practice, which you will experience, the various doubts, the various obstacles that you will experience in the beginning and subsequently. Very importantly also is the regularity which you will get. Now, I've been doing this practice for 26 years, and for the past 22 years plus, I've been doing it on a daily basis without missing a single day. And I've come across hundreds of meditators who've been practicing for a very long time. And the biggest challenge which I'm aware of is getting regular with the daily practice. There are very, very few people who are able to get to that kind of regularity. Daily practice without missing a single day. From March of 2000, year 2000 till now, it's more than 22 years. It's 22 years and almost 6 months, 22 and a half years. I have not missed a single day's practice, and my sitting is at least 1 hour. Yeah, in the past 7 years, it has, it's more than an hour a day. So that much since the past 22 years. And it includes days when I'm traveling. It includes days when I've been unwell also, or somebody else, I'm caring for somebody else who might be hospitalized, etc. Doesn't make a difference whether I'm traveling in a bus, I'm traveling in a car, I'm traveling in a train, in a plane. Doesn't make a difference whether I'm down with a migraine for 3 days or more. Doesn't make a difference. I will not miss a single day's practice, which is 1 hour at least. And since the past 7 plus years, almost 8 years, it's been 2 sittings every day. 2 sittings every day, which means 2 to 3 hours of practice every day. I'm just sharing a bit about my background. And now coming to back to your question. So it gives you regularity of practice, which is the biggest challenge. You will find 1,000 other things which will take precedent over the meditation. Your work, your kids, your family, your food, your exercise. You will think of hundreds of reasons why you could not meditate on one day or for days together. Maybe you were sick, maybe somebody else was sick, maybe you were having a wedding in the family. There can be thousands of reasons. But my question always to people who come up with these reasons is, for any of these reasons, can you ever say that you could not find time to have even a single meal on that day? Except, of course, when you were completely laid up in bed and you had intravenous feeding being done. Even then you can meditate. I can. It gives you a more peaceful surrounding, more quiet surrounding. Till the time one is conscious, there is no reason to miss. Just like you do not miss a single day's meal, no matter how busy you are, you will find time to at least grab a fruit, couple of fruits here and there on the run, couple of cookies or something else, something to munch on, regardless of how busy your day has been. You can't say that you went through the entire day and you did not put a single morsel of food in your mouth because you were so busy. That is the kind of dedication you need to have for the practice. And it can come only when you are convinced about the importance of having a regular practice for your mental health on a daily basis. Otherwise, so many things will take priority over this. So 15 minutes is very easy to do. Initially, join the group. This is what I would suggest. It is not an easy, it seems to be a very simple practice. When you start doing it, you will start having a lot of doubts, questions, etc. When you are part of a group like this, which meets every day, and of course on weekends, the discussions go on beyond an hour because we have time on our hands, and very often people have doubts or reflections which they share, and because we are more relaxed on a weekend, we get into longer discussions. So this is what I would suggest as far as the question related to the first part. Second part about the mental impressions getting cleansed. Don't get into that right now. If you have any doubts about intellectualizing that, you believe in rebirth, just believe that there is something which causes you to take birth again, right? You will believe, if you believe in rebirth, then you believe definitely that there is a cause for rebirth. And that cause for rebirth is one intense bhav sanskar, which is the most intense conditioning of one's life, which comes up at the final moment. The most intense conditioning, the most predominant conditioning of your life, which will come up at the final moment. And depending on your state of mind at that moment, you will get sucked into the next life according to how you react or respond to that conditioning that you are faced with in the final moment. Okay, so I'll just address the second part of your question only with this. Don't need to get too deep into it right now. If and when you join the sessions, we will have more time to address that query properly with more time at hand.
Thank you. Thanks a lot,
Most welcome.
Apurva. Thank you.
Yeah, so there were a couple of other questions. Aisha, can you just read them out? Or if somebody wants to speak them out, you can read it out, Aisha.
Okay, so Mansi had a question, and her question is, what's the best time to meditate? Morning, evening, or before bed?
Okay, so 2 sittings every day, 1 in the morning. If you want to experience energy through the day, get a start your day on steroids, so as to speak, or get a start your day on boosters. Meditate in the morning, start your day with a meditation. And then evening, you've come back after a long day's work, you're feeling completely drained of energy, completely tired, no energy whatsoever. Great way to re-energize yourself. After coming back, you again do a sitting. Additionally, if you've experienced the benefits of the practice, then it is recommended to those who come for the sessions that you must make it a part of your routine, that when you go to bed, you don't do a sitting. You don't do it in a sitting posture. You just lie down, and in that lying posture, you just observe your breath and drift into sleep. That is not considered a sitting, by the way. So I hope your question is addressed appropriately. You do not, misconstrue the response to mean that evening lying down and then observing the breath for a minute, 2 minutes can be construed as a sitting. That is not a sitting, but it is extremely significant if somebody can make it as part of your routine. It deepens the practice remarkably over a period of time. But morning, evening, if you can do both, it's the ideal thing to do. If not, then you have to see what is your routine like and where you can fit it in. At least get started with one. When you experience the benefit, then you will know why I'm suggesting the second sitting in the evening. So just to give you a simile, so right now Delhi is experiencing a very hot, humid weather. You feel very yucky. It's hot and humid. You've come out, you've come from outside, and you feel very uncomfortable, and you want to head for a shower straight away. Go for a shower, and you come out feeling fresh after you've come from a hot, humid weather on a hot, humid day. That is what the experience is after you've done a sitting at the end of the day, when you've come back feeling completely drained of energy and you're just running on your reserves. So I hope that addresses your question, Mansi.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Most welcome. Okay, I think Kanchan had a question.
Yes. So, Kanchan, please let me know if I'm summarizing your question, paraphrasing it correctly. So, Kanchan would like to ask Apurva, if you, as you've had such a long and deep practice, have you been able to overcome your own karam sanskars? And are you able to just allow them to pass in the present moment?
Right. So as the journey is progressing, it's intensifying with the passage of time, and it's happening uh, uh, to such an extent now, even in deep sleep, one has these karam sanskars which keep getting cleansed. I won't go too much into the details of that. Those who come for the session, I think I've shared once or twice about those experiences, but normally one doesn't share too much about specific experiences on the path. But yes, the Karam Sanskars, the very first retreat that I did way back in '96, I'll just share very quickly. I had a lower back problem for 5.5 years at that time, which prevented me from sitting on a chair or a couch or any elevated seat for more than 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and I had to get up, walk around, do some stretching exercise, etc. It had spread to my sciatica. Thanks, Vikas. And I was constantly in that, suffering. I had tried all modes of treatments, mainstream, modern medicine, alternate medicine. Forget 26 years, even now, modern medicine has no treatment. no cure for these problems, lower back problem, sciatica, etc. They will just come up with all kinds of theories about how the gap has decreased, or how it's a autoimmune problem, or how there is some compression or something or the other. They will come out with some degeneration. That is just something which is visible in a MRI, but the root why it is caused is not known to modern medicine. So I'd completely resigned myself to the fact that I would live a life with this lower back problem, with this sciatica problem. And in that condition, I went for a 10-day retreat where by the 5th day, I could start getting a very blurred image of what lies inside. There were clusters of these karam sanskars which I came across. And by the 6th day, I could start working on them very effectively and started eliminating them. By the 7th, 8th day, I could sit in one posture without opening my legs. And by the way, I also had a meniscus injury in my right knee, which dated back to my college days, which prevented me from folding my right knee for more than a minute. I would fold it, and within a minute, I would get this sharp stabbing pain as if somebody has driven an ice pick from one side of the knee out to the other. And I had to open my knee. With that condition, I went for my first retreat, lower back and right knee. And by the 8th day, I could sit in one posture without opening my legs for 1 hour at a stretch without moving my body. I could do that. And after that, there was no looking back. Before that, I had tried multiple techniques, multiple forms of meditation for many years, and nothing answered my questions like this. So there is no blind belief involved in this. It just is very scientific. You just believe as you experience. You experience and then you believe in it. If you don't experience it, don't believe in it. So that's in other, in religion or cults, they will say, come to us, join us, and first believe what we are saying. Then you will have those experiences. Nothing doing here. Out here, it is you experience it, then you believe. If you don't experience it, just cast it aside. Yeah, I think Amita had a question.
She asked if you could share the links for the different groups.
Yeah, so I will request you to, because we add everyone first to the WhatsApp group. In the WhatsApp group, all the messages regarding any changes, etc., are sent. The sharings are sent related to the readings which we do or the discussions which we might be doing on a regular basis. So that's why we add everybody who's wanting to participate in the WhatsApp group. Occasionally, there's some technical issues, maybe from the service provider. So we switch. That happens once or twice in a year. Otherwise, WebEx is a very stable platform. So then we have to shift to Zoom, or some other message has to be given. So I would request you to just message me your name and your number. I hope you would have my number with you. If you don't, then you can let me know. I will just.
Can I put it on the group, on the chat now, Apurva?
Yeah,
your number?
please do. Yeah, please do. Yeah. So was that your question, Amita, or did you want to ask anything else?
Good evening. No, this was the question. Wanted to know how to join the groups.
Yeah. So you could just message, give a reference of how you connected, which group Mool or some other group or somebody's reference, because
Yeah, Mool group.
yeah, so you can just give that reference so that I add that reference in front of the name, because everyone has joined the groups through somebody's reference or the other. So
So
it
if
gives us,
you're in the Mool group, then Apurva, your number will be there already.
yeah, so
Yeah.
fine. Okay, so I'm facing, let me see, certain health challenges since 2020 with pain. I'm a sick person in the family. I understand your healing is good by grace of God. Okay, great. So very happy to know that
Yeah.
the healing is happening for you. Wish you more intensifying of that healing process. That was to Kanchan. Yeah. Any other questions? Please feel free to clarify. Okay. So if you would like me to continue right now, if there are people interested to know more, I can continue. I can continue talking for a couple of hours. But depending on, your
It is balance.
you're in different time zones. If you've got something else lined up for yourself, etc., then I can continue. So you can just let me know with a thumbs up if you would like me to continue to give you some more insights about how it helps to cleanse the health related issues. I'll just address that also. Okay, so most, according to Ayurveda, all our problems are in the mind. So even if you don't believe that, and if you accept that some of the problems are because of the mind, then you will understand that most of our problems are psychosomatic in nature. Now, modern science has started accepting that with the passage of, or with coming to the fore of more and more research. And many of the cancers, they started accepting that many of the cancers are caused because of the psychosomatic roots, because their nature is psychosomatic, because the roots of these cancers lie in the mind and many of these ailments. So what happens is, as you are able to cleanse these sanskars gradually without setting any timelines, because the moment you set timelines, then it doesn't work. If you say that I will cure my asthma in 1 month or 6 months or in n duration of time, it will not work, because then you are craving for a certain end result. Whereas this practice teaches you how to be equanimous and accepting of whatever is happening in the present moment. So don't set any timelines. And when you approach it with an open mind, without setting any timelines, then the practice starts giving you results with great rapidity. So don't set any timelines. Don't set timelines to become enlightened. Don't set timelines to experience out of the world experiences, etc. This is not what we do this practice for. We do this practice to experience peace and tranquility and to energize the mind, which in itself is a amazing outcome of the practice, and the deeper benefits will accrue in due course of time as the practice deepens. Also, I'll very briefly touch upon the healing aspect. I think somewhere in the Mool group, Param had mentioned Marmam. So I'll just very briefly talk about that. and then not delve too much. So these karam sanskars block the free flow of energy in the subtler channels in the body. These subtler channels in Hindi are called nadis, through which the life energy flows, the pran flows. So when these karam sanskars or these mental clusters start becoming larger and bigger, they start blocking the free flow of energy in the subtler channels of energy. When the flow of energy gets impeded, then it starts impacting certain areas of the body, certain organs of the body, which start experiencing discomfort. And in due course of time, when this continues, it leads to ailments of various kinds, chronic ailments, which modern science, when they don't understand it, they dump all of them in the category of the autoimmune disorders, because they haven't understood. They'll just say it's caused due to inflammation. We can see that there's a lot of inflammation and the causes are unknown, autoimmune disorder. So it gets categorized there. So many of these can be addressed partially or completely using the practice of marmam, which is the subtlest branch of Ayurveda, the sixth branch of Ayurveda, which is lost to the country, largely lost, except in certain pockets of the country where it was passed on from one generation to the next in the Guru Shishya Parampara. So this involves manipulation of certain junctions in the body. These junctions are where major nadis or these channels of energy crisscross. Each of these junctions can be manipulated in 48 different permutations and combinations. So this is completely different from acupuncture or acupressure or Reiki or pranic healing. Absolutely different and much more versatile. However, that said, for this you have to seek out a practitioner, and so you will have to devote time. Of course, it will give you results if you find the practitioner. It will give you results in due course of time, depending on how long you've been having the issue and how intensely. But you are still dependent on somebody else, right? Whereas when you do the practice, when you do this practice of anapan, this meditation, then you become completely independent in terms of cleansing your own blockages, your own sanskars, your own suffering. You're able to eliminate it by yourself. Okay, so of course it takes some time, it takes some doing. For me, it happened very rapidly. I'm very fortunate. Maybe it's, I completely believe that I left it, I picked it up from where I left it off in my past life, and that's why I was able to get the results so quickly. But I would very strongly request you never to join the practice to cure any physical ailments. Do not join the practice to cure physical ailments. That is just a fringe benefit. Fringe means a tiny benefit. The benefit from this practice is much, much more. It gives you a perspective of this life, of why you are here, a meaning. Yes, Nirja, go ahead.
Sir, what is the possibility of using this practice for ailments of mental health like obsessive compulsive disorder and anxiety?
The meditation?
Especially, yeah, if somebody has been on medicines, yet adolescents.
So they have to be guided very carefully. Any mental challenges, they have to be guided very they have to be handheld with the practice, because this practice by its very nature will cause the deep-rooted sanskars to come up to the surface, and it will seem that the symptoms have got aggravated. And for somebody who is not being handheld, they might just get scared and just run away from the practice back to the medication. And the medication doesn't have to be stopped. It has to be tapered very, very gradually. So it has to be done very slowly, very gradually. It has to be handheld by a expert who understands what's happening. And that's the only way. That's the only way to come out of it. If you if your dependence is completely medication, then it's a downward spiral. You're a psychologist yourself. You are very well aware of the damaging impact of that downward spiral of the medication, because science right now has limited understanding of the mind. And as some leading researcher said, I think about 10, 12 years back, that modern science is at the same place in terms of their understanding of the mind where they were 100 years earlier, then it's not surprising. Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, so if there is any other aspect which you would like to clarify, feel free. If there's any other aspect you would like me to throw any light on, you can let me know. I'm comfortable, going on. And if there are no other questions for now, then we can conclude. Nija, did you have another question? You had your hand raised, or maybe I didn't.
Sir, just that I was just thinking I have had 4 rounds of Vipassana meditation. And I also started 22 years back.
Okay.
And I was just seeing your and my trajectory. They are so different. You've had a regular practice and not even a day missing. And I have had 4 rounds of Vipassana plus 3 rounds of 3-day camps also. But still, I am struggling so much to keep a regular practice. I just can't do it. So much of excuses, so much of exhaustion. तो पता नहीं कौन सा collection आया bag and baggage that I am not able to really get. And I feel your group sittings are so good that they helped me regularize for 1 year. Full 1 year I could do Vipassana in the last 25 years because I was in your group. So I could do every morning and every evening. But now I have classes and again I have started missing, and I'm really missing the group sessions. They were so good. They are so good.
So I told you how to go about it, and it's very ironical. The person, a very dear friend of mine, who introduced me to this practice in '96. So 22 years I've been doing it on a daily basis. I started with the practice in '96. So the gentleman who introduced me to it, he left the practice, and when I came back, I told him, "Hey, this is great, man. What you've shared with me, it's transformed my life." He said, "Really? I must go for it again." And he went for it again, and he didn't have those experiences, and he gave it up. He's into some other practice now. So everyone's path is different. Everyone's trajectory, as you said, will be different, because everyone's past conditioning and the baggage that we carry is different. So everyone has to fight their own battles, and you can. This technique is a life-altering, it's a transformational practice. I can say that because, by the way, I didn't share it. I think I should. I will, another 13 days, I will be celebrating 24 years of leading a liquor-free life. So earlier I used to be, when I went for my first retreat, not only was I having all those physical problems, I used to enjoy my beer, and I used to get together with friends and party till, party hard. So there were no half measures for me. So either I would, if I would be convinced about something, I would go the whole hog, no half measures. So 96, November, I did my first retreat, and April of 98, I decided that I'll drink for another 6 months, and 30th September 98, I will stop. So I drank for 6 months, 6 days a week. I would only miss Tuesdays, because at that time I also used to do bhakti, which I stopped from 2000, when this became my only focus. And 6 days a week for 6 months, I drank. And 30th September, I drank till late in the night with a very dear friend. Whatever we could finish, we finished. Whatever we couldn't, I gave away. And after that, my house has been a dry zone, and my life has been of a teetotaler. Those friends I used to meet a couple of times a week, now I end up meeting them or maybe once in 3-4 years, 5 years, and they're still dear friends. I haven't lost touch with them, but they're no more those people I spend frequent interactions with. I don't spend that much time, because that as we've learned in the teachings, is a very important aspect of this journey. The kind of company you keep, the wholesome company. If you keep wholesome company, that will help you right till the very end. So I'll then conclude. If there are no other questions or any thoughts which you would like me to address, I'll conclude with another small story. So this is a story of a village or a small town where a very cunning, a very quick-witted young man used to live. Very quick-witted. He had such a wit that nobody could, really stand in front of his wit for more than a few seconds. And people used to be very wary of getting into any kind of a discussion with him, because they knew that they can never win any discussion, because it will very soon turn into an argument and he'll always have the last word. And this made this young man very proud, and he would not let anyone get the better of him, and he was very successful. And as it so happened, once outside that town, an enlightened person came, a saint came, and set up his stay for a few weeks, for a few months on the outskirts of that town. And very soon people started visiting him, and as his repute started, as stories about his wisdom started spreading, more and more people started going to him and getting benefit from his teachings. And soon the whole town was talking about how wise that saint was, and what a wonderful experience they have whenever they are with him. Now, this young man didn't like that at all, because before that, everyone was talking about his intellect, or he thought that everyone is in praise or in awe of his intellect. And here they were praising someone else all the time. So he thought of a ploy to discredit this saint. And his ploy was that he would approach the saint with a question. And if the saint would address his question correctly, then he would become his student. This young man would become a student. And if the saint would not address his question correctly, then the saint would have to leave that place and never return. And the ploy was that he would approach the saint with a butterfly in his hand, and the butterfly is in his fist, which is lightly closed. He approaches the saint and asks him to tell him whether the butterfly is dead or alive. If the saint says dead, the young man opens his hand and allows the butterfly to fly up, fly away. And if the saint says the butterfly is alive, then he would just clench his fist and kill the butterfly. So in either case, he proves the saint wrong. So with that ploy, he goes to this saint, and as he approaches the saint is actually an enlightened person, and he just sees this young man and smiles, and he says, "Yes, my son, how can I help you?" So he shares this, if you tell me, if you answer my question correctly, I'll become your student. If you don't, then you'll have to leave this place and never return. So the saint just smiles and says, "As you say, please ask your question." And he stands in front of the saint and asks him, "Please tell me whether this butterfly in my hand is dead or alive." The saint just smiles at him and says, "It's entirely in your hands. It's entirely in your hands." Similarly, your life, each one's life, is entirely in your hands. What you decide to do with it, entirely in your hands, regardless of what has happened in the past, regardless of the upheavals that you've experienced, the reverses that you might have experienced, the downs, the nadirs of the life you've experienced, doesn't make a difference. If you decide to change, you can change from now. And no power on this world, in this creation, can stop you from changing for better. If you do not want to change, no power in this creation can make you change. And change can only happen by doing a practice such as this. It cannot happen by reading books. It cannot happen by listening to discourses, watching videos, motivational videos, including such as this one. They can motivate you to take the next step, but they will not make you change. They will motivate you to take the next step. But if you keep on watching videos or come to sessions such as this, constantly waiting to get more and more motivated, but never taking the subsequent step to start doing the practice, then friends, I cannot reinforce or re-emphasize on the fact that life is very, very short. It will just zip past. It will flash past like this, like in a flash, in a blink of blink of an eyelid. I think I hope I got the expression correct. So don't wait. Don't wait for 1st of January. Don't wait for Christmas. Don't wait before your children are married, or before you are married, or before your children's children have grown up and you are more free, or before you've found a spouse and got married, or your life partner and got married, or the next Monday, because we're always pushing it off for another day, or the 1st of next month. Start from now with that firm determination that you will start from tomorrow morning. So with that, I thank you very much for taking out your precious time, joining this session. Do let me know if there are any suggestions that you have as to how it can be improved, how it can add more value to any of the future participants' life if they participate in any of the future sessions. Feel free to connect with me. You have my number on the screen. If you don't, then you can always let me know and I'll put it up again. I hope it's there in the chat. Okay, I'll just put it up again. My name is Apurva. And my number with the country code 013763051. So this is the alternate number when I put it on an open forum. So you can send it to this, any message, or to the other one which has already come on the forum. Either ways, I'll get the message, I'll add you to the group, and you can start as per your convenience, as per your calling. Thank you so much for joining. Have a great life. This is a rare opportunity to get this human life. I wish everyone all the best, that they make the very best of this human life for the remaining moments of the life that lies ahead. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kanchan, my blessings you don't require. They're always there. My best wishes are always with you. You just need to put in the efforts and your karam, and you will get the benefit. So session still remains open. If anyone still has any questions, I'm still here. So I won't close the session till everyone exits. So don't wait for me to close the session. You'll have to leave the session. Just in case somebody wants to say something, I'll wait till the end.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Apurvaji, Ayesha.
Thank you so much, Radha. Thank you for joining.
And good
Bye-bye.
evening. See you tomorrow.
Bye. See you in the morning.
Bye-bye. So I'll exit then, Apurva.
Yes, Aisha. Thank you so much. Hugs to Neil, Aiden, and the kittens. All the very best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I'm assuming that there are no other messages or thoughts to be shared, questions to be answered. If that be the case, then I will now close the session. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.